right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the SHRA meeting for Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Chair Duncan?
Here.
Vice Chair Nunley?
Here.
Commissioner Manford?
Here.
Commissioner Griffin is absent. Commissioner Jefferson?
Here.
Commissioner Ramos?
Here.
Commissioner Ross?
Here.
Commissioner Starks?
Yes.
And Commissioner Wu?
He's here.
He's here.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
All right, we have a quorum. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to today's agenda?
Just that Commissioner Ross is in person and not on teleconference.
Yeah, the hurricane kept me here, so sorry about that.
All right, so then we will move on to the public comment section of our agenda. Would you mind reading this public comment script, please?
Persons wishing to address the commission on subjects not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the commission may do so at this time. The commission cannot discuss or take action on matters not on the agenda for this meeting. To speak on an agenda item, please fill out a speaker card and give it to the clerk. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes per item.
And do we have any speakers today?
No.
So we will then move on to the consent items on the agenda. Would you please read the consent item wording?
All matters listed on consent are to be approved by one motion unless a commissioner or the public requests a separate action is taken on a specific item.
All right. So can I get a motion to approve the consent items? All right, so moved by Commissioner Wu, seconded by Commissioner Starks. If there are no objections, we will pass the motion to approve the consent items. Hearing no objection, the motion passes unanimously. And that brings us to our presentation items. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title of item 3?
Shelter updates, emergency bridge housing, Meadowview Navigation Center, X Street Navigation Center.
And we have a presentation from staff.
Good afternoon, Chair Duncan and members of the Commission. My name is Sarah O'Daniel, Director of the Homeless Innovations Department, and I'm here to do a short presentation on the 3 shelters that our agency oversees on behalf of the City of Sacramento. In this presentation, I will provide some background information as context, share some outcomes and lessons learned through our administration of the shelters over the last 4 years. Then I will introduce you to a remarkable lady, Miss SHRA, who has stayed at one of our shelters, and she would like to share her journey with you. First, I would like to share with you some pictures of the 3 shelters that we oversee. The first one is called Emergency Bridge Housing at Grove Avenue, and we refer to it as EBH for short. We started with 26 tiny homes in 2020, and a year later, we increased the cabins to a total of 50 tiny homes, where we serve 50 homeless transitional age youth, or TAY, between the ages of 18 and 24. Here is the interior and the exterior of the units. This site also has community space, case management offices, restrooms, showers on the site as well. We also administer the Meadowview Navigation Center, which is located at 2700 Meadowview Road, right next to the Pennell Center, and also the X Street Navigation Center, which is at the corner of 27th and X, which are both sprung structures. And here is a picture of a sprung structure. Both X Street and Meadowview have 2 sprung structures on the property. One is for their dormitory space and one is for their dining space. Here you see a picture of the dining area as well as the dorm area and the bathrooms. I know there's a lot of information on this slide, but I'll go column by column. I just wanted to put it side by side. So to provide you some context, let me share with you some of the details related to each shelter. Starting on the left with EBH. We have been operational since June of 2020 and serve 50 homeless youth, as mentioned, between the ages of 18 and 24. The city has a lease with the St. Paul's Church of God in Christ for this property. And we contracted with First Step Communities to be the operator at the site. Today, we have Joe Pacheco, who is the Chief Operating Officer. We have Alex Garlinger, hope I didn't butcher that, who is the Program Director, and staff person Kaylee, who is also here in the audience, and they are all from First Step Communities. It is not cheap to operate the shelters, as there is around-the-clock staff, 24/7, 365 days of the year, to help our guests. It costs over $10 million to operate the shelters over 4 years. Keep in mind, 3 meals a day are provided, clothes are laundered, and there are showers and restrooms on the site as well. But most importantly, there's robust, individualized case management that's provided on site. The staff help them with all their needs in terms of helping them also build their resumes, taking them around town to get jobs, in addition to connecting them to lots of services and case management. And help them find housing once they are ready and stabilized, and provide limited funds as they stabilize in housing, and also provide for security deposits and other rehousing costs. Similarly, Meadowview and X Street have similar services. Meadowview started in 2020 and X Street in 2021. And both had the construction of the sprung structures and everything else done by the city of Sacramento, and then they turned it over to us. At both of these sites, Volunteers of America is the operator. Unfortunately, the program director is on vacation, enjoying much needed vacation, and couldn't be here today. So far, it has cost approximately $12 million for 4 years, a total of 4 years at Meadowview, and it will cost approximately the same amount for X Street when we complete 4 years. Both sites also provide 3 meals a day, laundry is available on site, showers and restrooms, around-the-clock security, and at this site, we also have limited kennel space for the animals. Here too, there's robust individualized case management to help the adults secure, for example, source of funding like SSI, help them find housing, pay for security deposits, and much more. When you look at the outcomes of the 3 shelters, it is interesting to note that it varies by population type. Looking at the left column, which is EBH, we have to date served 533 unduplicated youth. 64% of them are housed in either permanent housing, temporary housing, such as relatives, staying on someone's couch, or transitional housing. Or unfortunately, we also have some that end up in an institution, whether it is jail, psychiatric institution, detox center, and there's so many others. Of the 50 youth, currently, 13 are looking for a job, are currently employed, and most of the remainder are looking for work. At Meadowview, we have to date served 909 unduplicated women. The reason I say unduplicated is because many of the guests at all the shelters sometimes come in once, aren't ready, go back out, come back a second time, sometimes even a third time, before they're ready to engage with staff and get the help they need. In Meadowview, 35% are housed in either permanent, temporary, or transitional housing or institution. Of the 100 women there right now, many do report a disability. And of those who are work able, we have 16 that are currently employed, with 27 looking for work. At X Street, we have to date served 950 unduplicated adults. 39% are housed. And of the 100 adults, many of whom are disabled, 17 are currently employed, with 38 looking for work. Here are some examples of places where they might be serving you. Could be at a Taco Bell, FedEx, Lowe's, Walmart, Smart & Final, I'm just naming a few. It could be your DoorDash person bringing you your food. And we also have some that are working at Siemens, and Shriners Hospital. We also have some individuals who are going back to school to get their GED or the college degree, and others that are interested in a trade school or truck driving school. In addition, the operators have great partnerships with many community organizations and continue to forge partnerships weekly. In fact, when we have our weekly meetings, I always come across some that I don't even know who they are, and I've always got to ask who they are and what service they provide, because they're always, trying to come up with new partnerships for the guests. Here are some of the partners that the various providers work with. Could be mental health assistance, therapy through art, assistance for those suffering from domestic violence, many services that are assisting the youth, providing financial literacy, and so much more. Having overseen the shelter since 2020, there are some common things that we have noticed. Those that are living on the streets and coming into the shelters have faced significant hardships in their lives. They have been scarred, and it sometimes takes many entries into the shelter before they're willing to accept help to address their issues. And that's why it is so important when there is a shelter that there is the individualized case management that's there to help that individual succeed. Stabilization takes time. Sometimes it might take 2 months, sometimes it might take 10 months, and sometimes longer than that. And success is unique to each individual. Just wanted to share with you a story of a lady who had been living on the streets outside X Street for many, many years. Previously, she had a job, and in fact, she has a small pension as well. But there was trauma, significant trauma, that made her spiral out of control. And she ended up living on the streets. Her mother had also had passed away just recently. She had a total of 5 dogs with her, and she was living in her tent. Staff tried to talk to her many times, but she was not willing to come in. Finally, over time, she was willing to downsize some of her belongings, because we only allow a limited amount of belongings, because, otherwise it would be too much at the shelters. And she came into the X Street with her 5 dogs. She was very hesitant initially, and she actually slept in the kennel with her dogs, because that was what she was comfortable with. But over time, gaining the trust of the staff, she was able to come inside and sleep in the dormitory. And then she formed a bond with others at the shelter. She actually had a rental assistance certificate for the Shelter Plus Care program for a long time, but there was no landlord that was willing to take her, especially with 5 dogs and no references. Staff worked very hard, and I'm glad to say that finally we were able to get her housed with the 5 dogs. I checked in just today with staff, and she is still housed, and she's still doing okay. The dogs might bark a little sometimes, a little loud, but still, she's still housed. On-site at each shelter, we have the SHRA staff who act as a liaison between the operator and our agency. They're invaluable, and in fact, help clients like the lady with the dogs and talking to her and being sort of the point of contact. And I'd like to introduce you to this 2 staff. First, Tammy Davenport. She's located at Meadowview, and she's actually the staff person along with VOA staff who worked with the lady and her dogs. And the lady calls her once in a while just to check in as well. And then I want to introduce you also to our second staff person, James Landreth. James Landreth, he splits his time between EBH and X Street. And he is amazing with the data that we have to collect, that we have to provide to the city, all maintenance-related issues, and so much more. With their assistance and the great work of our operators at First Step Communities and VOA, we are providing seamless services to our guests from street to housing. And I would like to, I'm not very good at doing this. Next. Just wanted to share with you a quote to end from a former guest at Meadowview. Home to me is security. Like when you go to your mom's, it may not be my residence, but it creates a feeling of home. Meadowview has given me that. So with that, I would like to introduce you to Miss Charlize. She is a young lady who has overcome many obstacles. She stayed at Emergency Bridge Housing for a short while, and she is going to share with you her journey from being homeless to thriving in our community.
Okay, thank you all for having me. I want to start off by saying that the Grove was an amazing program for me. I was housed in December on, I was housed on December 8th, 2023. Other than giving me a safe place to stay, I utilized all the resources that they gave me, which was being able to find a job. I received medical assistance. I was able to apply for financial aid and go to school. Sorry, I'm looking at this.
You're fine.
Yeah, I was there for a total of 6 months. Other than giving me a place to stay, it also helped me focus on myself and become the person that I want to be. I was able to focus on figuring out what I want to do for a career, figuring out what I want to do in terms of school, focusing on my mental health, my passions, and figuring out who I am. They taught me a lot of skills that school doesn't teach me, like how to build credit. A lot of financial advice was given to me as well. I'm going back to school soon to get an AA in business, and without the Grove, I wouldn't have been thought to do that for myself. I'm starting up my own business in October. Because of this program, my dreams seem even closer than they ever were before. I didn't see myself being where I am 5 years ago today. I thought I would still be in my parents' house, you know, abiding by their rules and going through everything I was going through then. Yeah, but to finish off, it's more than just a place to lay your head at night, you know, it's a wonderful opportunity. My personal experience was very hard being homeless. You know, I was 18 at the time. I didn't know where to go, what to do, who to call, and the Grove was like a light in the dark for me. Yeah, but I guess that's what I wanted to finish off with saying. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlize.
That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Sarah. I also want to just thank Tammy and James for being here and for all of your service to clients at the X Street and Meadowview Navigation Center. I've had the opportunity to actually tour the X Street Navigation Center when it first opened. So, you know, it's always good to get these updates on how well people are doing. What is the process? I should start with, at each of these sites, would you say that they are always 100% filled?
I get a daily report, and so pretty much it's always between 98 to 100 at the X Street Navigation Center. So I would say it's about 99% to 100% filled, because we work very closely with 311, and we're able to, you know, there is that immediate, as soon as there's a vacancy, they're already sending people over who have already, that are part of the queue. So yes, we're always keeping it filled. You know, like sometimes there might be 3 people that exit on a certain day, and so then the next day, okay, we've got to fill those, but it might take a couple days. But for the most part, we're always filling them right away.
And what is that process? Is it through Department of Community Response, 211, Volunteers of America, First Step Communities?
Everything goes through one central system, right? It's called a community queue. And so that is where, you could find somebody on the street that, First Step, DOA, our staff might talk to somebody that might be interested in coming to the shelter. And then there is an assessment that is done over the phone, and then they're put in queue based on their acuity level and everything else, and based on the population. So, if it's a youth, it'll go, triage that route versus others. So it really is a coordinated effort to get everybody through the same system, and then wherever there are vacancies, then fill in those vacancies.
Go ahead, Commissioner Starks.
You don't mind asking some questions? Come on back up. We have some questions for you.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Charlie?
Questions for you.
So tell me about, were you homeless, like without a home, or you mentioned your parents, you didn't want to go back to the parents kind of thing?
Yeah, it was more so like it wasn't an option for me. It was an abusive, toxic relationship that I had with my parents. At the time, it didn't seem that way because they're my parents. They're supposed to love and take care of me. And then upon coming to the Girl Village, I realized it's not supposed to be happening. But yeah, I was 18 when I had first started experiencing homelessness. I stayed in a shelter with my aunt for a little bit, and then after that, I had pretty much started house hopping or couch surfing, as most people would call it. And then I just started running out of options. I started going to laundromats, staying there overnight. I was going to gyms to shower and clean myself. It was really hard, like.
You're in high school, out of high school?
Yeah, I'm 21. I graduated in 2021.
So at the time, were you in high school?
No, I wasn't at the time, no. I had graduated.
Okay.
It was actually my 5th or my 18th birthday when it happened. My mom had put me out, and that's kind of when the cycle started.
Mm-hmm. And so I just want you to kind of color in for us a little bit in case there's somebody watching right now who's in your same position. What did you do next? How did you hear about SHRA?
Well, I honestly just used social media as a resource. I didn't have anyone to go to, so I was like, maybe the internet can help me. I started Googling what to do when you're homeless, and I stumbled upon the Grove's TikTok account, as well as all the information that was just saying call 211, and that's what I did.
The Grove's TikTok account?
Yeah, I swear.
First Step Communities is the account name.
Okay. So the First Step, is that the TikTok?
Yeah, it is the First Step Communities one that I was.
And so the Grove has?
Yeah, First Step Communities is the operator for the Grove that we contract with. And they obviously understand the power of social media and the target audience. I didn't know there was a TikTok account, but that makes perfect sense upon hearing that. They're like, VOA runs the other two, First Step Communities runs EBH.
So you guys run that TikTok account? Or
Yeah, we run multiple social media platforms, and Charlize is not the first person to discover this resource as a young person through TikTok. Because I think oftentimes young people don't even necessarily think I'm a person experiencing homelessness. It's just I'm going through something.
Can you come to the microphone to make
Yeah.
sure that it gets?
we're not done with you, but this is a connector, right? In case other people are listening. Okay.
We just found that young people often don't think of themselves as someone who's experiencing homelessness. I am experiencing instability. I don't have a place to stay, not knowing what resources are out there because they don't use that label. So through TikTok, we've been able to connect with many young people who are like, oh, I'm between that age, this is what I'm experiencing, that's a resource for me, and then they discover 211, and that's how they get connected.
The 211 moves them in to the process, and that's how you. So the 211, when I called, thank you for that.
Yes.
I saw a lady on the street, 211, they had they called it a something team. But it was a cute little name that they called it. They come out, they do on the site assessment, And there's a name.
Navigation team often.
Yeah, but there's a cute little name associated, I'm trying to recall. So you connected with 211, then connected with SHRA at that point?
Yeah. It was kind of blurry for me. I was just reaching out to a lot of places, but I think I talked to someone, I can't remember where it was, but yeah, I had called 211 and then almost instantly I was talking to Alex, so from the Grove.
Nice, and Alex? Okay, wow. And then from there, what happens?
From there, I continued to wait until I got on the list, and then I was shown the Grove, and then I came in that same day.
That same day?
Yeah, so I think it was about a week wait because there was a wait list for it. And then I was shown, and then I stayed.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charlize. And, you know, it's so beautiful to see the fact that, you know, you're here coming through the program, sharing with us, and your future from what you're telling us of what your goals are, get your AA, start your own business is very bright. And so thank you for being here and sharing your story with us. It's imperative for us to know because we don't always get the opportunity to hear from people who have gone through the program. Any other questions from Commissioner Ramos?
Thank you, Charlize, for being here and providing that story and giving face to the folks that these centers are helping. Just a follow-up question for Sarah. I'm curious, how long is the typical queue or the wait list? Is it sort of about a week, or does it sort of vary in terms of how long until someone gets into that system? Do we know typically how long that is?
I would say 7 to
James, do you know?
Sure. It varies. It can vary.
Yeah.
So
Do you wanna come up?
absolutely. Pardon me.
He's good with all the data stuff, so.
So the wait time through 211 can vary. It can be as long as 10 days. Sometimes it's 3 days. It all depends on the response of the individual, right? So the 211 resource specialist has to contact you to say, we have an appointment, it's at this location at this date and time. If you don't answer your phone, I can only make a certain number of attempts to reach you, and then I go to the next person in the queue. And so that's why if we contact you, the turnaround time can be very, very quick. Could be same day, could be next day, could be the third day out. If you're not responding, your wait time could be a little longer because it has to do with how quickly you respond to the 211 outreach.
So potentially up to a week or 10 days?
Yes.
So, okay, so it's not a very, very long wait necessarily?
No,
Okay.
the partnerships with the DCR incident management team, 311 and 211, that whole collaborative effort, and through Sacramento Steps Forward, that process keeps improving day by day, week by week, month by month, and so the turnaround time is getting shorter and shorter and shorter, so, yeah.
And it's dependent on having access to a telephone, like folks can't just show up in person and you have to wait to.
Walk-ins and drop-offs are not accepted at the locations. They do have to be referred through 211. However, if someone does walk up and they're extremely vulnerable and in critical need, we as the operators will step out, have conversations, get them connected with 211, and try to help navigate them and 211 through a solution for that person. It may not be the shelter they walked up to, but we will try to help move them onto a location. If we forecast that we may have some vacancies coming up and we determine that this person their vulnerability score is so high that they do need to be taken off the street, we will work between the shelter locations, not just ours, all of the shelter locations, to try to figure out where that individual could plug in. But again, they try to work through the wait list in the order that people are calling in, and then again, based on their vulnerability score.
Okay. And then, given where the locations are at, is there any assistance with transportation if they need help getting there, or does someone pick them up?
So generally, if you're a community-based organization and you're referring someone because you did the outreach, The expectation is you as the community-based partner will provide the transportation to the shelter location. Depending on what the situation is as an individual, if you're nearby, we may be able to make arrangements for you to come in, but we don't do that as a common service to people coming into the shelter. So generally, you have to make your own way there.
And then the last question around pets. It's great to hear that there's some kennel availability in the story about the woman with the 5 dogs. So does that often pose an obstacle in terms of the number of kennels, or if they do have a lot of dogs, do you ever have to turn folks away because of that? I mean, my perception is typically that unhoused folks often have animals for either safety or companionship. Is it pretty common that you have to figure out the dog situation, or that poses an obstacle to be able to have that?
Absolutely. So generally, if you have multiple dogs and the dogs get along, we will put them in the same kennel. So we would rather have you bring 2 dogs in, have them stay in the same kennel, instead of having you not be able to come in, right, because we don't have 2 vacant kennels. We do have instances sometimes where people have multiple dogs. If they're not able to make arrangements to have the additional animals beyond 2, go into an alternate location or find another shelter solution or temporarily have them housed at Front Street, right? We sometimes have to advise that person that they really can't enter because we don't have the space for the animals. So in the future, when programs are developed and built, it would be nice to see more kennel space in those future locations because we know that the need is there. People have animals, right? That's their family on the street, right? They really rely on that pet. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else for me?
Typically does someone stay?
So it really generally depends on their barriers to housing and how receptive and responsive and engaged in the program. So generally, you could come into the program, be document ready, have a source of income, path to a housing solution within 4 to 6 months. But if you come in and you have a lot of barriers to becoming doc ready, barriers to your employment, or your employment falls through and you have to find another source of income, your stay becomes a little longer. But as long as you're engaged and you're participating, we will allow you to continue the program.
Commissioner Ross.
Thank you. So I want to commend.
Let me move.
Yes.
Okay.
The young lady speaker, a young adult, how's that? Young adult, commend you, and then of course the First Step community and all the good work, and everybody on the X Street and the other shelter. But the reason I'm focusing on the transitional age youth part is because that population is the most teachable. Often, if we start thinking about where do we should invest in everybody, but who could we invest in that we can help prevent, just the damage that comes in just from just being homeless for a long time, right? There's a whole nother, set of books and psychological impacts and so forth that come from that. So I think the investment in our younger population as the resource that it is, or actually saying that there is a shelter, right? Because generally you have shelters that are for all populations, but not one just geared towards, transitional age youth. And so I'm very excited about that. I've been to X Street before, I think, and for sure the Grove, and that's exceptional work. It's hard work, but it's the right kind of work. And so I just want to commend you for moving forward, for not giving up, not quitting, and I want to commend the other folks that are around to support, our young folks, and giving them a handout, I guess if we could say that, not necessarily a handout, but it could even be a handout, but in this case, just somebody that they can help along the way. It's extremely important. And if we forget that, so I want to commend SHRA for investing in that. That's innovative. A lot of places don't have it. But the folks have their own apartment, so to speak, their own tiny house, and begin their own sense of stability and independency, and that's important, right? That's the goal for all of us. So I just want to say that, and if I had a hat, I'd take my hat off, but I haven't got a hat. So it's our old cartoon when I was a kid. I just thought that was so funny. It may not be fun. But my next question though has to go into the statistics. You see it too, right? You see it, right? Yeah. So you thought it was funny too, Sam, when you saw it. It's a good one. But I also wanted to look at, if we could come back to the stats on, you had, it added up to about 43 or so that were working at least at the Grove. Could those come back up? Is that a question for that? You had the side-by-side tables, we had 50, 100, 100, and then we had where they're staying, those that were different locations, and then at the bottom, those that were in school or working. Yes, there you go. Okay, so I guess the question that I wanted to ask on that particular statistic, because you have unduplicated, that's 533, 909, and 950. So when we're looking at currently employed, let's say for instance for Grove, EVH, are we looking at the 50 residents there? Is that sort of more so of a snapshot in time? So that there's 32 looking for work, 13 employed. Okay, that's great. Okay, I just wanted to check on that. Okay, that's it. I know they're helping with resources on that, and so anyway, for sure. Okay, thank you so much.
Commissioner Manford?
Yeah, my comment's gonna be quick. First, I wanna thank you for stepping up and sharing your story. Keep it up. Wishing you good luck for your future. One thing I definitely want you to do is network and connect with everybody that you see here. As you continue your growth, your future, please continue to network and connect with SHRA members, because you will be a great example of someone that can really be a true representation of who came from the struggle and is doing something different. So please continue to network with SHRA members and also with us if needed. Recommend you to reach out to Cal ICH. They do a lot of programs in regards to in regards to individuals who experience homelessness, and you'd be a great candidate for their lived experience individuals. So just sharing some resources for you, and also letting you know that you have a lot of people that can support you with this.
ICH stands for
California. The California Interagency Council of Homelessness.
Okay, great.
Sorry.
Just want to make sure.
Yes.
I know we love our acronyms as well. And I just had, if there weren't any other comments by commissioners, I just wanted to also really just thank all of the staff at First Step Communities who just do an outstanding job of working with our TAY community and our staff too, who are on site. They're just absolutely fantastic. In fact, I remember, James, you actually started at Capitol Park when that was a shelter.
Yep.
And just did an absolutely awesome job. So they really work very, very hard, as well as Sarah and all the work that she does to keep everything kind of running. And then also too, I wanted to, especially when we're talking about Grove, also thank the pastor, Pastor Joyner, who really took a chance with us in terms of this particular project. Hadn't been done before, but he really was the great connector between ourselves and the community. And because of his goodwill, the community trusted him. And it just made our jobs that much easier. And continues to still, be a champion for this particular project. So I just wanted to also put a name to the Church of God in Christ, who allowed us to use their land, but also is very committed to helping our transitional age youth.
Sure. Perhaps they want to say something.
Would anyone from First Step Communities like to say?
Yeah, I'd love to. Good afternoon. You may regret inviting me up here. My name is Joseph Pacheco. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for First Step. First, I want to say thank you to SHRA for their continued support there. We're extremely proud of the services and the program that we've built at the Grove. I'm happy and proud to report that the Grove has the highest rate of client exits from the program of any other homeless shelter in the region. The last 3 months, we've been at 70%. So 70% of the people who leave our shelter leave to permanent housing. And that's because of really the hard work of the people who are living there and doing what needs to get done to recover from homelessness, and our staff and our team, and Alex Garlinger there and his team that he's built at the shelter. And really, I just want to say thank you for having us, and thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. And thank you, Alex and team. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, everyone, for coming. So then we have item number 4. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title of item number 4?
Budget update, overview of revenue trends and projections for 2025.
And we have a presentation from staff.
Good evening, Chair Duncan and members of the Commission. My name is Kay Worthington, and I am a finance manager here at Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment. Tonight, I will provide you with a brief overview of our agency's major funding sources, discuss the current revenue trends we are observing, and present our projections for revenues in the year 2025. My goal is to provide insight into the factors that will shape our revenue landscape in the coming year. The first major funding source that will be discussed is the Housing Choice Voucher Program. This is a federal rental assistance program that provides eligible low-income participants with vouchers to secure rental housing anywhere within the city or county of Sacramento. Next, we will go into the Public Housing Program, which is a federal rental housing program that houses qualified participants in agency-owned properties. The agency collects rent from tenants, and HUD provides an operating subsidy to cover the gap between the collected rents and the cost of operations. Public Housing Capital Fund Program will be discussed next, which is also a federal program directly tied to the Public Housing Program, which provides annual grant funds from HUD for the development, financing, and modernization of public housing developments. Then we will discuss the federal entitlement programs, which includes home and CDBG, the CDBG grant, which funds the development of viable urban communities by providing decent housing, a suitable living environment, and expanded economic opportunities, primarily for low and moderate income persons. The home grant supports a wide range of activities, including building, buying, and/or rehabbing affordable housing for rent or home ownership, as well as providing direct rental assistance to local income individuals. Home is the largest federal block grant exclusive designed to create affordable housing for low-income households. We will conclude with a projection of the housing trust funds, which are local funds collected from non-residential development and used to finance affordable housing projects that serve the low-income workforce employed by nearby commercial businesses. This chart reflects the trends and estimates for HCV administrative funding. HCV administrative funding eligibility is based upon the number of units leased within a housing authority's authorized voucher allocation. Once eligibility is determined, HUD uses a formula to determine administrative fees for the agency. This year, the agency is receiving $117.17 for the first 7,200 units leased in the month, which is up $3.22 from the $113 from 2023. For each remaining unit leased above the 7,200, we are receiving $109, which is an increase of $3 from 2023. Despite the increase in administrative fees, HUD applies a proration to ensure that the total administrative fees paid to housing authorities match the appropriations provided by Congress. For 2024, The proration rate is 97%. For 2025, we are estimating a proration rate of 93%, which is lower than the 2024 rate. This chart reflects the revenues and expenses for the agency's housing assistance payments. The higher the utilization, the higher the funding available from HUD. However, eligibility is only half the battle, as the appropriations for this program are determined annually and often result in a proration as well. It's important to note that when moving forward with RAD, the HAP dollars will increase to the agency for the vouchers that will be created during the RAD process. Here we have the public housing. This slide illustrates the historical revenue trends for our public housing program. Over the past few years, we have seen fluctuations in our revenues due to various factors, including economic conditions, policy changes, and program adjustments. Understanding these trends is essential for planning and forecasting our financial needs. Based on our analysis, we expect a decline in public housing rents in the coming years. This decline is primarily due to our increased participation in the rental assistance demonstration program. The RAD program is designed to convert public housing units to a more stable, project-based rental assistance platform.
But just, could you go back just one second? Is this an aggregate when we're talking about, for instance, in the first one, 2016, 10.15 plus 7.21, and so that would be, what is it, like 17 and a half? I guess I suppose it's in millions. I don't know if it's in millions, but
yes, it's in millions.
Okay, in millions. And then when we look at the light blue, that's subsidized. That's how it's divided up. Of that 17, 10 is of that is from public housing subsidy, and then the other 7 is from the rent.
That is correct.
Okay. I just didn't understand that. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Each year, public housing authorities receive significantly less funding than what it is necessary to adequately address the physical needs of our housing stock. The shortfall is compounded by the increasing demand for affordable housing and the rising costs associated with the maintenance, repairs, and new construction. For the year 2024, our projected revenues are expected to be similar to those received in 2023. This consistency allows us to maintain our current programs and services, but it does not provide the additional resources needed to meet the expanding needs of our community. Looking ahead to 2025, we anticipate a slight decrease in capital funds. This projected decrease is primarily due to conversion of additional units through the RAD program. We will now discuss the federal, home program, a crucial component of our funding strategy for affordable housing. Despite the program's success in supporting affordable housing initiatives, there have been small declines in the amount of funding received since 2020. HUD has not requested any increase to the homes program budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Consequently, we do not anticipate an increase in our allocation for 2025. To address the increase in demand for affordable housing, HUD relies on housing authorities like ours to match approximately 25% of home funds from other funding sources. This matching requirement is critical for leveraging federal funds to maximize our housing initiatives.
Real quick, I'm gonna go back and there's a big, huge, big peak there.
That's the elephant in the room.
That was COVID.
It is COVID.
So during that particular time, we had a huge infusion of federal funds that allowed us to address all kinds of issues with making sure that people could stay housed during COVID. And this is similar to what other cities received in terms of different types of COVID-related money. So yeah, that was our best year ever. And then, we're back down to reality in terms of what it is. So we were able to do so many different things. What were some of the types of projects that we used for the home funding, Christine? Christine's legs.
Right,
Right, so it was really exciting that year to get the additional funds. It's called Home ARP or Home, someone help me out.
American Rescue.
Yeah, thank you. And we primarily used it to match the home key projects. So the home key projects, we were leveraging like $20 million from the state of California to convert several motels. And then there still was a big local gap that needed to be filled, and these funds primarily were used to fill it, but all came before you, so thank you.
Yeah.
But wish we could get it every year. But I should say, so across the street, that's with Central Sacramento Studios, Vista Nueva, I think La Mancha wasn't, but it was just before. But there's, Madison Square, Super 8, which is about to be under construction. So there were several that we used these funds for.
Thank you. Just say it and then move on.
This is our CDBG program. For the current year, our CDBG funding has been allocated based on HUD's formula, which considers factors such as population, poverty levels, and housing conditions within our jurisdiction. This funding supports various projects aimed at improving housing, public facilities, and economic opportunities for low and moderate income residents. The flexibility of CDBG funds allows us to tailor our projects to the specific needs of our community, addressing issues such as homelessness, public safety, and neighborhood revitalization. HUD has not requested an increase of the CDBG budget for the upcoming year. As a result, we anticipate our 2025 revenues from the CDBG program to be similar to our budgeted revenues for 2024. And as you can see, for 2020, there is that huge spike due to COVID. Our Housing Trust Fund fees are collected from non-residential development projects. These funds are then utilized to finance affordable housing projects designed to serve the low-income workforce employed by nearby commercial businesses. From 2016 to 2019, we observed a steady decline in our Housing Trust Fund revenues. Several factors contributed to this, including fluctuations and changes in development activity. Starting in 2019, our revenues began to increase. This positive trend did continue until 2022, reflecting a resurgence in non-residential development and a stronger commitment to affordable housing initiatives in our area. It is important to note that revenues for housing trust funds can be quite variable. Several factors can impact these fluctuations, including economic conditions, policy changes, and development needs. As a result, it is common for housing trust funds to experience significant ups and downs. Due to these inherent fluctuations, we adopt a conservative approach when budgeting for the Housing Trust Fund program. This conservative strategy allows us to mitigate risk and ensure that we can sustain our affordable housing projects even during periods of lower revenue. In closing, I want to know that we are still in the process of developing the agency's 2025 budget, which will be presented to you on October 16th. This concludes my presentation, and I am available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Kay. Any questions?
I did.
Commissioner Ross.
On the front screen, the first slide, you mentioned CDBG. Did you cover that? Did I miss that? You did say CDBG? Okay, I must have just been studying those numbers. Okay. It was the next, okay. Okay.
Do you want to see it again?
Yes, can I just see it one more time? Maybe I can look at it. Okay, I just probably was staring at that big spike. Didn't look at the head or at the top. Okay, got it, okay, all right. So that's still staying consistent, okay, all right. Thank you. Yeah, I know what's coming next.
Other questions? Okay. Do we have any public comments on this item?
We do not.
Okay. We will move on to the executive director's report.
So just a couple of things. So this is kind of kicking off our budget, season and presentation. So we'll have an opportunity for different departments to come and really, give a deep dive as to some of the programs, things that they're doing, as well as what we anticipate financially from them. And then it will culminate on that October 16th, I think, is the date where we'll do a big wrap up. So more to come. Then the other thing that I wanted to mention, just an update, we had a really great grand opening with Cornerstone last night. That is our project in South Sacramento. That is 104 units, might be 104 units of multifamily housing. And across the street are our Habitat for Humanity homes. There are 18 homes there. All of the Habitat families have moved in, which is really exciting. And I believe they're pretty much full occupancy of all of the multifamily. But within that, there's a huge continuum of housing options. So they actually have 16 units set aside for homeless individuals. They have project-based vouchers. They have rents that range from 30 to 60% AMI. And then across the street, we have home ownership. So one of the stories that they told were so many families who were in the multifamily were saying, how do I get to a point where I can get my own house, just like the ones across the street? So I think it's just so wonderful for people to see, what are those next steps that is possible for them, and to start getting counseling, which is what they're doing, about, how to become homeowners. So just a wonderful, wonderful collaboration between Mutual Housing and Habitat for Humanity. Then our next meeting date is set for August 21st. And we do have some grand openings coming up. I don't necessarily have them with me. Amber, do you have those yet? Okay. Well, they are coming up. We'll get the dates to you. I know the Wong Center, which is Senior Center, is coming up. We have a groundbreaking that will be a little bit later on at San Juan. And then, what is the other one, Christine?
Capitol Park. Capitol Park is in September.
Capitol Park. We love Capitol Park. But yeah, so that one will be coming up soon as well. So we'll have information, and if you have an opportunity to participate, we would love to make sure that you're there. And that's all we got. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have anything for my chair report. Do any commissioners have anything to report or announce? Commissioner Ramos?
I just had a question around the possibility of doing like a tour of one of these centers. And I think maybe you or someone else had mentioned that they had done a tour before, and be really curious if we could have that opportunity. Would be really educational to go there and
Absolutely.
check it out.
Absolutely. Usually we would do our tours in the summertime. It wasn't nearly as hot as it has been. So yeah, let's take a look and see what we can do. We try to focus on going to, a couple of the different developments so you can see. So we'll take a look at that. Now, have you guys actually toured Marisol yet? No? I mean, as a commissioner, as a commission, have we done Marisol? Oh, we did our Christmas.
Yeah, we did the
But
Christmas
did
thing.
you actually tour the actual? Okay, but anyway, we'll work on it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ross?
Yeah, I have something that could be good for the good of the community that I know. Okay, let me ask, this is a Brad question. Brad, because we haven't utilized it yet. Today, all right. Today, other days we do. Okay, so if there's like a conference, workforce development conference, that could be good, can that be announced, or is that something we can't share? Not possible.
So you just want to make an announcement?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right. Actually, I could make another one then, since you said that. But there's some really good stuff for when we're talking about transitional age youth, I don't know. My organization, we landed a COIA grant, which is called the California Opportunity Youth Apprenticeship Program grant. It's a planning grant. It's a $500,000 to get people into community health worker jobs. So it's for 16 to 24-year-olds. So just for the good of the community, if that's of interest, let us know. It's a planning grant, and then we go and launch. It will be one of the first of its kind, for sure in Sacramento, maybe some of the first in the state. So I think that's pretty good for being able to get people to work. The second part is on September 13th, I'm with the Health Education Council .org, but we're doing a workforce development symposium, and there's going to be a lot of jobs. I just got off the phone today. So the state is going to be held at Midtown Church from 8 to 3 p.m. and then there will be a job fair. That conference is going to be free, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but from 8 to 3, and then from 3 to 5 there's going to be a job fair. But the state is going to be bringing 15 of their departments, and they're all for jobs that do not require degrees. So it may be of interest. Just like you were mentioning the church over at First Step Communities, one of the things that we're trying to do is find employment solutions to barriers facing disconnected adults and opportunity youth. So there we'll have CBOs, government, business, nonprofits, CBOs are that, but also bringing in the faith community. And we're going to be tackling second chance hiring, reentry hiring, those subjects. So it's totally free. Lunch is on me, so it's totally free for anybody to come. But that 3 to 5 p.m. job fair, I think may be of interest because they're gonna actually help people walk through how to fill out applications to navigate through that very cumbersome get a job at the state. But they have a lot of opportunities there for people that are just going into entry level situations, but they don't always have that access to know how to navigate through that very complex system. So that's going to be taking place. September 13th, it's going to be at Midtown Church, and everybody's welcome, totally free. Thank you for letting me share that.
I see Sarah over there fiercely taking notes in terms of outreach through our resident services department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe Midtown Church is 2225 19th Street.
Wow.
Down the street.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Okay, since we have no other business, I will adjourn this meeting.